this. All right. Welcome to the Caddies United Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, D'Lo. I've been caddying since I've been caddying on tour on the road, a touring caddy since 1998. I've got two guests with me, former players, now caddies. We've got Jon Turcott out of Wisconsin, and we've got Brian Vranesh from California, both players. And welcome these guys. Hey, how's it going?
Great. How about yourself? By the way, both Green Bay Packer fans. Somehow we got a kinship through that, which is great.
Hey,
go
so
Pack,
that's a
go
bonus.
Pack,
We just had the draft. Maybe we start there. Let's start with some football, and then we'll get into golf later. Tell me who was the best pickup for the 2020 online draft? What did they call it? The cyber draft or something?
Yeah, the most viewed draft ever, wasn't it?
I would imagine. I watched it all. So
the
who did
only
you guys?
live action we've had.
Who did you guys get?
Some linemen, tight end. Who else we got? We got some cornerback.
What about the guy they took first, the Jordan Love, the other backup quarterback? Now we got A-Rod and J-Lo.
There we go. We're talking.
We'll see.
Hey, I heard A-Rod. He was a backup for 4 years.
Correct. So, and they're saying the same thing. But those two coaches, I mean, like I said, we were watching it live. Well, the coach and the GM, they didn't draft Aaron, and they seemed pretty happy. It looked like, they got the hot girl in high school, and they were really happy about it. So
the Love kid, he was a West Coast quarterback, wasn't he? What's his name? Where did he come from?
Jordan
Utah.
Love, I believe.
Utah State, possibly?
Utah State Wolverines.
That's right.
Or
Utah State. I thought that was so.
Yeah, they're
really,
not the Wolverines. I just totally
it seems
made that
like
up.
Those quarterbacks that are like the small school quarterbacks end up doing good in the NFL. I mean,
yeah.
It's so maybe he's going to wait his turn. I'm assuming you guys got a few good years with Aaron Rodgers, huh?
Or Baby Jesus, sometimes we call him. He's amazing.
He's
king of all. He's
Baby
great,
Jesus.
dude. The pack is. I trust what's going on in Green Bay. I mean, they got their stuff together. They know what's going on, and for life.
How about you, D'Lo? You Dallas all the way?
Dallas all the way. So we ended up with a really good draft. I thought we would be going, defense with cornerbacks from the start, and this CD, what's his name? CD. Yeah, CD Lamb. So it sounded like they were really hyped on that. All the analysts were like, man, that was a good get by the Cowboys. And then I followed the Raiders because my younger brother is a Raiders guy, so we were really watching how the Raiders drafted. They had a really good draft, I thought, too. Yeah. In the middle, it was kind of – I thought maybe they were going to go a little bit more defense, too. But in the end, I think both of those teams kind of set themselves up, with some good quality picks. So it was kind of cool. I never watched the draft like this.
Yeah.
I remember back in the 90s when my homeboy was going to get drafted, I was working the range at La Cantera in San Antonio, and I had it on my earphones listening to the radio that whole time to see if he ever got picked. And unfortunately he didn't, but he went as an undrafted free agent after the draft. That was like the only other time I'd ever even listened to the draft, really. So it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. And I kind of was more vested in those two teams, but being a Cali boy, West Coast, how did you guys get involved with the Packers? What got you in over there?
Well, speaking of that, so I had USC tickets growing up. I always went to Coliseum, but I went to one Raider game as a child, 10, 11 years old. My pops took me, and there was a brawl like 5 rows ahead of us. I remember him like picking me up, get out of here. And that was the only NFL game I went to until I moved to San Diego 20 years ago. But in California, when I went to high school and junior high, you couldn't wear hats because of gangs. And the only hat you could wear was like a high school hat. And we had a big G as our logo. Actually, randomly, John Elway went to Granada. And so we had a big G, and our colors were like green and white. And my senior year, I'm like, I'm going to wear a Green Bay hat and see if anybody says anything. And I wore a Green Bay hat. No one said a word. And who would have thought they won the Super Bowl that year, 1996. And so I'm like, all right, I guess I'm a Packer fan, and went with it, and got a pretty good 20-year run. So
heck yeah.
They've definitely contended. And you grew up with that green and cheese in your blood over there, I assume, Turcott, being.
Oh yes, sir. We got them bratwurst marinating in the beer. Boil them up. Throw a little onion on there. Don't rush it. Just take your time.
Yeah.
If you have a cocktail, get right.
I had some cheddar wurst for the Jordan thing last night.
Yeah, and then that's like the next biggest thing. I mean, it was the draft, the start of the week, and then finishing the week off on Sunday night with this last dance story is awesome, huh?
Unbelievable! What a beast!
Being up there in the Midwest, were you a Bulls guy, or was it like the Bucks?
You know what? I mean, I was a Bucks fan, but they were honestly never on TV. Only when they played the Bulls, and so I went to more Bulls games. I probably went to 3 Bulls games growing up, and maybe 1 game at the Bradley Center, which they got now. They got a great arena now. I went to a couple games so far this season, and it was a blast.
Oh,
nice spot.
Nice. So that's not very far. It's not a long drive for you right now.
No, I'm just outside Madison, so it's only about an hour 15.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the Brewer crew, we usually try to take the family out to 2-3 games a year.
Yeah, that's a fun trip for sure.
If the schedule works, but that's a nice venue also. So once you grow up in Wisconsin, I mean, unless you got a parent or something that's a Bears fan or a Vikings fan, I mean, you are green and gold, blue and yellow.
Yeah.
And red and white.
Right.
And that's pretty much,
another shout out to those high school.
That's all we got in winter too.
Ryan Brom.
And in winter up here, all you have is Wisconsin sports. That's all you have. That's what you got, and you are committed to that day in, day out. If they're on, we got season tickets for basketball and football.
Oh, nice.
The kids get to go every once in a while. The grandparents go.
Wisconsin sports and ice fishing. That's your winner.
Dude, I've only been ice fishing once, and I love fishing.
Really, in your whole life?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
It
I figured you'd have one of those little what do you call them? The little huts they have over your plot of ice.
Yeah. What's that hut called? Does it have a
shanty? It's a shanty.
Oh, it's shanty.
It's a shanty.
Some people put like TVs and barbecue pits in there and stuff.
Or shanty. Shanty. In some places.
She works on the Golf Channel, doesn't she? One ice question, you might not know it. Do you have to buy your plot of where to put it on the lake, or how is it first come first serve? Just battle.
No, I think it's first come first serve deal.
I like it.
Yeah, people drive their trucks on it. That's the only time when I've been on lakes, shoveling off lakes in the winter, getting in a little ice rink, going a little hockey, no pads, nothing, you're sweating, shoveling that whole thing off. You don't realize how much shoveling that is until you're like, wow, if you went full ice rink, it would take you forever, dude. Forever. Yeah. My dad said that's why we had you 4 kids, so you can shovel. And he held out getting a snowblower forever, dude. Forever.
You guys should have saved up and just bought him one.
Yeah, I've thought about it for sure. I guess it was a bonding experience, man.
Oh yeah, I bet there's a lot of bonding there. Throwing snow on each other, working twice as hard. That's right.
If you're cold, run around.
So I know that you're also a big baseball fan, Brian, because I can see the Angels in the background. Your cousin, first cousin, right?
Yeah, our moms are sisters. My cousin John Garland, he was a pitcher for 13 years around the league.
And then he went all the way to the World Series before?
Yeah, he won the World Series with the White Sox. He pitched Game 3 there, and it was weird because he actually didn't pitch anymore in the playoffs because they kept sweeping. He was always like the fourth pitcher or whatever, and they kept sweeping. And then
Oh wow, that makes a stressful situation pretty mellow. They sweep by the time they get to you in the rotation. That's pretty good. Exactly. I guess it's better to be on that end than the other end.
Oh yeah,
you're the last guy before you get swept. You don't want to be that.
Correct.
Guy. Man.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, he had a good run, and actually, he's one of the guys we're playing golf with tomorrow. So it'll be good to see him and hang out and smack it around, as he says. And
so let's get to golf a little bit. I know you guys were both pros, but we'll talk about that. Let's just talk about being able to play golf, because I know you're in California, and right now when we're in the the COVID pandemic and the self-quarantining and social distancing, and we're just now, I think a lot of states are going to start the first phase of reopening. They are calling it on the news, I guess. So and I know golf is involved, but recently in California, like your county and the surrounding counties, which is what do you call that area? Central California, where you live, or are you so?
I'm just north of LA County. I'm actually in a town called Ventura County, and to speak on that, it's been crazy. So basically, I flew home, Friday morning to the Players, and then I think golf is still open, but I was in the transition of moving houses, and they just shut them all down, and then randomly. I got a call the other day from about a week ago from someone, hey, let's go play golf. I'm like, where's open? And they're like, which still is probably 100 miles north, La Prisma. Buellton is a town. They were like one of the first to open. They might be in like Santa Cruz County or something north of Ventura. So they opened, and there was a rush of people going up there. My buddy actually works there, Larry Correa, and he's like, Brian, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it's a slow town, and I bet you he's like, we're sold out every day.
Yeah.
And then fortunately up here, Ventura County just the other day has opening courses here, but no carts. So people are walking. But then it's funny, you find, and you have to be a member of the course. I'm not a member. So it's funny that you have these guys like, oh, let's go play golf. And then they go to their golf course, and they don't realize when they're in that easy go that every hole is up or downhill. And then they're like, they can't walk it. So fortunately, to walk for a living kind of helps. But I was talking to John earlier. There's a place, Moore Park Country Club. I never played there, and this guy invited me. I'm like, yeah, let's go play. It was the hardest walk I've ever done, and we quit after 15 just because he had to be in. But we were walking, nobody out there. It took 5 hours. I mean, just 10. I mean, just like this. And
really,
and it was. And one of my wife's teachers' husband's a member there. And they had like 7 people go get an ambulance. So that's the only course that allows you to have carts. And you can only be a member now to get a cart. So it's crazy. I just ready for this experience to be over. You guys might have different experiences where you're at, but yeah.
Well, they closed down the public courses pretty early, city owned, which I think a lot of the cities and municipalities across the entire country did that. But the private and semi-private stayed open, and they had staff to clean the carts, and they followed protocol, one person per cart, and then they cleaned it with the bleach or whatever they were cleaning it with after every use, and then you could walk. And then Turcott, when did they start playing golf? They closed golf and then opened golf, or you guys are just coming into golf season doing so far north?
Oh man, we are up in the chilly arena in this country, and we've been just waiting for nice days. We haven't missed out on honestly too many days of golf, but I'd say a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Which for these, the public tracks around here, and that's a big time for them. When people get the itch from being up in the north in the cold, I mean, if there's a day that's 40 and sunny, I mean, you're in.
You're right.
You
You're
know,
golfing.
you're walking and
Yeah.
And when you're walking, I mean, honestly, upper 40s, 50s, if the sun's out, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But they just opened them a couple days ago on April 24th.
Okay.
And it was no carts. You know, they got some sort of weird thing on the hole. You know, it's like a half a centimeter down.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it touches it, does it go in? I'm not sure. We played yesterday, and we have a little bit of drama in our group. There was some drama.
I like the
drama in the group.
COVID
gray area.
COVID rules. That's what I'm calling them. COVID rules. If your ball hits the stick, right. If your ball hits the stick, count.
It's good. Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
And even my friend in Charlotte, she was playing with some of the guys, and she aced a par 3, hitting the stick, but it hits the stick and it comes back about a foot, right?
So on the fly, she hits the stick.
Or bounced it in. She bounced, you know, it hit the ground and was rolling in, and then it hits the stick and they hear it. And so.
That's not a hole in one, D. I'm sorry.
It's not, dude. I've had one.
I gave her too. Well, because the cup is only this big. The cup
how do we know that? I mean,
stick doesn't mean in.
Correct. So I think what John's talking about is you can actually see. Like I remember, like putting on like the third hole, I hit this putt. I'm like, oh my god! And he goes, my partner is like, the rest of the day, if we think, but it'd be hard for me to give her a hole in one 180 yards away and be like,
what I told her, what I said was that it's an asterisk. It's a COVID hole in one. So you give yourself a COVID hole in one. You count it, because if there was a regular cup there, you would have had a higher percentage chance of that ball going in. If it was rolling, you know what I mean? And granted, we'll never know, but you hit the shot and you know you hit it good. It landed on the green, rolled to the hole, hit the stick, and then came out. But I played, and your cup is only this deep. You know what I mean?
It's very
so I would
brutal.
get the asterisk hole in one. I gave it to her, made her feel good. She was gonna, you know, but of course everybody else was like you, because they're competitors. They were like, oh, no way, it's got to stay in the little half-inch cup, you know.
Or they didn't want to lose their fun money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're over a 5-footer and you're not sure what to do.
Over, hole in one, poley. I mean, that could be a big hole.
Yeah.
So she should have been. Well, she didn't have to buy drinks.
Right. Oh well, I don't know. Maybe they did. I forgot to ask that part because I was on the run. It was
still the worst rule in golf. I don't understand why the person who makes the hole in one has to buy the drinks. But
no doubt. I mean, come on.
That's the weirdest. That's the weirdest rule for a hole in one rule, isn't it?
Yeah. I was playing with Pat Perez, and great friend of mine. He's kind of giving me a golf lesson. Both of you guys have seen me swing. I have a very unorthodox swing, you could say. I don't mind. I owned it. It is what it is. And playing bad at the time. He's giving me a lesson. We're playing, and I make a hole in one. I mean, we're playing a money game with another guy or whatever. And he's like, yeah, we're partying tonight. And I'm broke. I mean, I have like, I might have had $278.44 in the bank and just grinding through life, you know. Fortunately, my wife worked. Thank God for her. And he goes, we're partying tonight, Sandbar, 8 o'clock. I'm like, we're done with the round. And I'm like, Pat, I go. Because he's not going to let me buy him one beer. It's whatever he orders. He goes, Brian, I'm paying for everything. Shut up. I'll see you at 6. I'm like, oh, thank God. So that was Pat Perez. There's a lot of stories out there with golfers and just generosity, and that was a good one on his end.
So you kind of teed it up. Listen, you kind of teed it up with that story for me, kind of what I wanted to dive into with both of you guys being former players. I was going to tell you a story that as I was researching your guys' careers
didn't have to read very far on that.
On the internet, there was an article about
were you busy? Real busy, huh? Busy all day. You had a lot of time to work on some yard work. I heard you had to finish up earlier.
Yeah, I went straight to the yard work. but I was like, you know, it's pretty interesting to see the kind of life, you know, your golf life, you know, trying to make it. And so when I went through, I saw for you, Turcott, your official money from PGA Tour was $208,000 over 6 years, right? So then I broke it down to basically it would be you earn 35,000 a year, and then I dug down a little deeper to $3,000 a start is what you're earning for those 66 tournaments. But when
Breaking
you look
even.
at
Domination, wasn't
30
it? Just pure domination.
35,000. How difficult was it for you at only bringing back? I mean, you spent more than 35,000 a year, I believe, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank God for sponsors, man. Thank God for sponsors and
Yeah.
guys that
How do you
gave
go
me the
about
chance.
getting those sponsors? How does that work?
I mean, a lot of it honestly was through my dad, because my dad had a lot of friends,
Oh,
they were
good.
members at a local club, and he had a lot of good friends that were very generous and were willing to give me that opportunity. And I definitely thank my dad for that opportunity. But
so it was mostly family
after
connections.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, he was a hell of a guy. And after a while, honestly, I had a lot of, there's some tweaks, a lot of things hurting, wrists, shoulder. I don't have the greatest genetics. Everyone in my family has had carpal tunnel surgery, and I've been wondering what's wrong with my wrists.
Yeah.
I've been trying, after Q school some of those years, I felt like slamming my wrists in the trunk and just break them, and we can start over again. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Let the docs fill it out. Figure it out. It just got frustrating, and so I just I got sick of asking my dad's friends basically to support me, and earning a dollar that's your own is another thing. I mean, thank God for these pros that help us out and give us the opportunity to do what we do and love and still be close to the game. But
so it went all the way through.
Point.
It went all the way through with official money through 2009. Is it at the end of 2009? Was that when you were like, all right, it's time for me to move on and find another career or find other ways to earn?
Yeah. And I really just made the decision, and I'm like, after I made that decision, I felt like there was 10,000 pounds off my chest, honestly. Yeah. And there was really no regrets, even though every once in a while you get the thought of, what if I would have done this, or what if I said no to this, or what if I said yes to this? And you second guess some decisions you've made, but you can't go back and change those. So,
right.
Well, and then you call the people and some people said, isn't that just stink, man? You put in all that time for nothing, and I'm like, it's not for nothing. It's all about relationships too. You build a lot of relationships over the years, and a lot of players, a lot of friends, a lot of games, and just a lot of fun. And that was a huge part of it. And so it wasn't all for nothing, because I don't think you can get this job if you don't have some of those experiences. I know Brian and I know D'Lo, you guys know all about that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But
my story is obviously different than you guys, because I started in the parking lot, and you guys basically started in the locker room. Brian, you want me to break it down for you, what I found out on your career, how I did the? I'll give you the same math. So
is
you
the IRS listening to this podcast?
Officially, you would earn $399,000 over 5 years. And so it broke it down to basically $79,000 a year. And it came into $4,200 a start over 93.
Nice. So I made a little money.
You had your year on the PGA Tour obviously was your best year, which was 2009, right? Where you had almost earned $200,000. But you were fairly consistent when you played the Corn Ferry Tour at 60. You had like 3 years in a row where you were like right at 60,000 to 65,000.
Yeah.
But even then, at 79,000, is that close to breaking even, or you were still probably
I mean,
not on an even scale.
no, well, it depends. I mean, it all, obviously times change or whatever. Daily fees of caddies, hotels, things are cheaper at the time. But who knows? I mean, in my mind, I was probably making money. It's hard to go back and, this was
Right.
before I had a family and
Yeah.
I
So
just
you
maybe had my
might have
girlfriend
been
before
able
she
to
was my wife.
squirrel away a little bit.
Correct. And back to what Jon Turcott said, Johnny, you have sponsors too.
Yeah.
So it all depends too. I mean, you could have a deal where your sponsor could be like, here's your money, whatever you make, give me this. And you don't even think about that. Like it's more the process and just trying to get to the next level. So
How did you go about finding
I had different deals.
How did you find your sponsors?
Well, fortunately, 2002-ish, there was a Gateway Tours in Arizona, and you needed like 20 grand up front, all summer events, but like each tournament, it was like 16 events. All of them were like 25 grand first prize. And it was right around when I turned pro. And I was living in San Diego at the time, and my cousin just signed with the White Sox or whatever. And he goes, hey, if you want, you can live. He just bought a house, like a modest house in LA. He goes, if you want to come out to LA and live in my house, all you got to do is pay the bills, which is like $200. He had a pool, I'm 20 years old. I'm like, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And so I went out there, and I knew there was a golf course. You guys have both heard of it, Sherwood Country Club.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a couple buddies who actually caddied there, and you still can, and which is right down the street from me. You could make, honestly, one loop a day, $200 a loop. It was decent money, straight cash. And so I went there, and there's two other golfers, Steve Holmes and JT Kohut. And this gentleman gave him a large sum of money. And I go, how do I do that? And they're like, you need to go to Las Vegas at his golf course and play well. And I was fortunate enough to go up Southern Highlands, never seen the place, shot 6 under. And he goes, all right, I'll meet you 2 days later at this restaurant in Westlake, right down the street. And he goes, this is what I gave those guys. I'll give it to you. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was a nice check. It's probably, web.com, top 3 finish somewhere in there. It was a good check. And, he goes,
so that's what started your Q school process after doing it?
That started everything. I went on
similar.
that gateway. And then, but he said, in 1 year, we're going to come back to this restaurant. And he goes, you're going to lose all this money. He goes, if I wanted to make money, I'd buy a stock or do whatever. But he's like, I'm not as good as you, and I wish I could have done it. But he goes, whatever money you have left, come back. And I had like $26,000. And I go to the restaurant, and I'm like, here you go, sir. And he goes, keep it. I'm like, what? He goes, keep it. And I flourished from there. It was like, I always played good when I had money, and I wasn't that good early on. I just grinded, but just Paul Porteous having the look in me and being like, you know what, this kid can play. And I busted my ass, and I made it. And those stats are great. The one number in there, you came in like 8th in the Buick Open. That was like 170 grand. So that was the majority of it. But no, just to know that I've made it.
That's how it comes.
Like what Johnny said, when it was time to shut her down, you kind of look in the mirror and go, you know what, I had a run. It's over. And that's the hardest thing is come August or September, and you're broke. And I mean, I'm sweating right now just because I'm like, who am I going to call? And you're like, I need $5 grand to go to Q school, but really it's 10. And you're sitting there, and I have gray hair, and you don't want to call and ask a peer or, especially my cousin, he's my younger cousin. I'm like, I can't call this guy and just, then it's a never ending cash flow, because again, like Paul Porteous said, you're going to lose money, bro. You're not that good. And, you have to have it.
Before we get all the way down to when you finished it up, I know you want to say something. What do you got for me there, Turcott? I can see it on your face.
I just have to say thank you to Spencer Levine for my last year that I decided to do Q school. I ran out of the sponsor money, and
God bless him.
And he threw me 10 10 racks to go to Q
Just that's
school,
amazing. You
and
guys have the number right there. He's like, it costs 5, but you really need 10. So big shout out to
10,000.
Big Spence.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah.
So let's.
Just had to
I
put
want to
that in
know.
there.
I want your best Q school stories. Dig deep, and I do know. I thought you had talked about at one point y'all were paired together at the finals of Q school, and there was like heartbreak and happiness or something. Or I'm not exactly sure who's got it. How did it go?
The hole depends who didn't, but I mean it depends which way you're looking at it.
Well, yeah, but you don't know what it means, anyways. You know,
Yeah.
I know you. You know, the one lesson we have learned through this all is that every shot means the most ever. And I've had several things in my career that have come down to a shot. But anyways, Q school, Vranesh, our first year getting there. I think it was your first year too, right, bro?
To finals, yeah, I believe
2006 in the fall. Yes, correct. And I Mondayed a bunch of times and had a decent run in 2006, finished just outside the 100, top 100 on the web tour. And crazy story, I got married, whatever, got a lesson 7 in the morning after my wedding, went up to Minnesota Monday, qualified, had to lead the whole tournament, and then Sneds.
Wait, hold on a second. You got married
Sneds wins.
and then had a lesson the next
Shot
morning?
64 in the Monday, got in, led the tournament till Sunday, and finished 5th or 6th, whatever it was. Snedeker sneaking in there, Sneds. Yeah.
Bastard.
Yeah.
No, so back to that.
No,
so
no big deal. No big deal. No big deal.
The next day. You had a lesson the next day.
Yeah, I got like 5 hours of sleep.
You didn't have to throw that
man.
on.
There's been a few crazy. Sorry, that was a side note, even on this whole deal. But
a lesson after your wedding.
Yeah.
Golfers don't have honeymoons.
No, not really.
We still haven't. And honey, I promise you, we will do something after this child is born. After it gets a little older, something.
Congrats.
It'll be something sick. Promise.
Well, back to that Q school, we kind of relived it. We were chatting a little before, kind of touching base, and he kind of enlightened me. Golf experiences like that. Like Jack Nicklaus says, he never 3-putted a hole. And the day before the interviewer was like, "No, you 3-putted the 72nd hole." I was like, "No." So you kind of forget that he birdied it. I did not. He had better status than me. We both got to play events, but it's things like that. Like I could bring up a story where somebody else wouldn't remember. Like, what are you talking about? Where it's like, I made a birdie there and you did it. That's how golf is. But
I ended up getting in the first few starts, and Brian didn't get in till the BMW or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. How many holes is that? 6? I'm bad at math. Don't tell my player that. But whatever. The last hole, he makes birdie to jump through the people, and then 3 years later, I'm on that same exact hole, 40-footer, 2-putt, get on the PGA Tour, where if I 3-putted, I would have been on the web. And I told this on another podcast the other day, where crazy finals of Q school, same place, Nicholas Stadium, PGA West, and every 2 days they repair you with score, same score or whatever. And randomly, the first 2 days I played with Tommy Gainey, whose caddy was Don Donatello. And then, so we played Tommy and I played all 6 days, which is crazy in itself. We kept tying. And then Matt Every comes in the picture days 3 to 6, and his buddy Derek Mason, who I knew very well, was his caddy. And I see Johnny smiling right now because everyone knows D-Mace or whatever, but we're on like the 3rd to last hole, and I'm playing good. I'm 7 under with 3 to go. And, I was kind of on the number. I got to play, the side where you finished on 18 and the home course or whatever, but I had to play well. And I'm walking 18, I hit in the fairway, I play a little cut. I'm on the left side, it's 6-iron, like 40 feet. And I go up to D-Mace, I call him Derek, and I'm like, "Hey, I saw you talking to that official. What's the number?" He goes, "Bro, you could 4-putt and you're in." He's like, He's like, you're way in. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, so my caddy, Dave Johnson, and Derek walk up, and Matt grabs me. And if anyone knows Matt, I love the guy to death. He's a great person. Grabs me, my whole family's there. Goes, listen, you don't listen to that fat, you know what? You're playing a great round of golf. You go 2-putt. You haven't made a bogey. Finish this thing off. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, if I would have 3-putted an hour and a half later, you would have found out. But I would have been on the web.com tour. And I think of that advice all the time. And Derek was right at the time. That's, officials give you vague answers all the time. And but yeah, it got me on the PGA Tour, and I'll never forget those experiences.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And then so we'll go. Let's move on from Q school and all that stuff. And I was going to talk about other bullshit, but let's just go. I know that Turcott, you have an amazing story about the U.S. Open in 2008, which we all know ended in this unbelievable story with Rocco and with Tiger Woods. But your story,
you were in that final group,
probably has to be.
There was,
the untold story.
Might have set him up for the victory that year when Tiger won.
Did you break his leg?
No. We were on the range, and I'm on the range, and they made the North course, like the 18th hole and the 10th hole, the range, basically.
Oh, nice.
During the U.S. Open to play the South course at Torrey Pines in 2008. And one, to get into the tournament, I was in a 9-hole playoff. It ended up being 6 guys. Mike Small was in there, a few other.
It was literally nine holes, or just kept going?
Well, it ended up being 9 holes. I made 9 pars and got in.
Jeez. Congrats.
It was how many people for how many slots?
Yeah, how many
slots? The whole story.
6 for 1, bud. 6 for 1, and it was at Conway Farms. And we had to.
What a track.
Dan Schlem was caddying for me. Schlemmy, what's up, Schlem? He was caddying for me, and we had to stay over another night. We got like 4 holes in, and it was down to like 3 of us maybe by the morning, and then we went 3 more holes or 5 more holes. It was 9 holes total, but I made par on every hole. And but one of the holes I hit it in the garbage right and had to chip out sideways into the fairway, and then I hit this shot that landed short of the hole about a foot, hopped past it, and then
you have that flag stick behind you.
Short of it. It was like this, and the guy I was playing with boned it into the woods, and it rejected it onto the green. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Okay. But anyways, end up making it in there, Awesome. Great. That was fun. And so we get to Torrey Pines, and I'm on the range, right? And I'm on the lower side. And no, Tiger's on the lower side, and there's a little higher second shelf, right? And there's there's 70 cameras like on Tiger. And if I pull a shot a yard, I'm going to drill somebody in the head. Going to drill him in the head. So I pushed him over, and then they got too much in Tiger's way. And I don't know if he remembers this, but then he tried to push them back towards me a little bit, and whatever. A bunch of them had to leave.
The camera.
And Tiger ends up winning, and I know your old boss, D-Lo, Stuart Appleby, had a big role in the whole story.
I think that's what everybody wants to hear.
He was having a great week. Okay, let's get started now. Stu's having a great week. I'm in my first U.S. Open, signing up for practice rounds, all that stuff, whatever. Cabrera no-showed, but no problem on hell. I love you, dude. So I'm nervous, super nervous, man. And I'm like,
for practice round?
No, tournament Thursday.
Okay.
I'm 6 over through like 8 holes in the tournament, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Starting on the back, obviously, South course. you know, we started on like number 9. They rerouted the course in a weird way. But it was fine. It was fair setup. It was great. But, you know, that, I don't know if you guys probably know that little stretch, huh? 9,
yeah.
10, 11, 12.
Hopefully
I mean,
it's like in left to right.
like, geez, dude. I mean, that's rough. And it was, I hit the fairways though. I was in the fairway, and I was botching this. I was bearing
Jon Turcott doesn't
every
hit 340 yards.
No, I hit it 265 in the air, and
on a rope.
Please roll. And I hit 75% of the fairways that week. Side note, thank you, Shot Link. And it was every fairway every bunker would bury everything. That's why it was so hard that week, you know. And it was progressive rough, so it was fair, you know. But I was in the fairway and burying 8-irons in the green, like number 10, like buried. Okay, fairway, what? You know, chip, putt, double. Okay, nice. This is fun. So I'm like, okay, sack up these middle like 20. The next 27 holes I play like pretty much even par.
Nice, probably around the number.
After the freak out, you know. So I'm 8 or 9 over coming in.
You were 8.
Double to go to.
You were 8.
I made a double to go to 9 over. After the 15th hole, I doubled 15, hit it in the ice plant, left.
Was it the real 15?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the ice plant left, dropped, made dub. So I get on the 18th hole, and this is probably the best moment of my life.
Wow. You have a couple kids.
I got like 257. Well, I mean, in terms of golf, career, whatever. The moment, the roar, the tingly
tingle?
hair on the back of your neck. Yes, sure.
Oh, okay.
So I got 258 on 18 into the back left pin. Okay?
Oh, just hammer time.
I just got this new 3-wood from Titleist. Love you guys. Hit this 3-wood in there. I hit this 3-wood from 257, I believe, 258, something like that. 7 feet.
Nice. Got to make
spike, yes. Spike marks all over the place. Dude, this looks like a landmine. It's landmine all over the place. And I hit this putt, and I hit it perfect. There's no way.
It has to go over the bump.
I know
it has to go over the spike mark.
It has to go over it. And it kicks it straight left, and I missed the putt. And I'm like, okay, I tap in, whatever. So then I'm watching, you know, sign the card, couple little interviews. It was nice time. No chance, thinking. Go back to my hotel room, and I'm standing at the Hilton just to the right of the green. I got my in-laws.
Shout out to the Hilton.
I got the in-laws. I got my parents. I got a couple sponsors that were there.
Sponsors were doing well that time of the career.
Yeah, they were thinking pretty well. You know, everything seemed okay. And then Stu is in the fairway on 18, and we're watching the footage on the TV. Okay, he's in a divot, fairway divot, laid up. You know,
laid up in the divot.
But the day is
laid
coming
up into
down.
The divot.
The day is coming down to Stuart Appleby. He's winding down to kind of maybe be because at the end of a U.S. Open Friday
the 10-shot rule. 10-shot rule.
They're showing those
10-shot rule.
Yeah.
If he makes par, we're in.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like,
par or worse, you're in, right?
Par or worse, you're in. I'm 8 over. He's 2 under. Whatever. He hits the shot.
Why don't you run out to the fairway and yell at him?
I see the wedge shot. Dude, that's just not very nice, Brian.
I understand. I'm sorry.
I got too professional for that.
100%.
Hit this wedge shot to like the front left pin, basically.
Wow,
he basically hit it to the front left pin, so he's got a, you know, it slings right to left, and
he's not going to make it.
Straightens out. You don't think so? After he hits this wedge shot to 40
feet, wasn't it?
Okay, so I'm in my hotel room. Roar.
Oh my! No way.
And then they pan to it on the TV, and I'm like, and everyone's in the room, and I'm like, he makes it. He makes it. And he made it. And that was pretty much the end of my
For you
career.
guys that are only
That was
listening,
pretty.
Turcott put his hands on his head and walked around in a circle because he's reliving that now again.
Oh,
His story.
buddy.
You'll have to go watch the video.
Countless sleepless nights. And everyone's like, you know, and so the story goes forward and forward. And I've talked to Stu since then. And I said, Stu, you know what? I said, so many of my family and friends really dislike you. And I've told him that. And I said, you know what, Stu, you know what I told him? I said, it's not your fault, Stu. He goes, well, you know what, mate? I didn't make a putt outside 3 feet the rest of the week, mate. And I said, well, sorry about that. And we had our vodka drink. And he ended up the next day giving me a ride to the airport. And we made up since then. So that's pretty much my story of the U.S. Open. But
that's so awesome.
It's in there. It's in there, and it's in there, and it's a scar.
The same thing happened to me in my first major, and I haven't really caddied a bunch of majors, but I was on the cut line, and it was another back then it was Nike Tour. It was another Nike Tour guy that had a putt at the Olympic Club in 1998 on the last hole, last group, and he makes this up. It was the same putt John Daly kept hitting back and forth. Lost his shit, you know what I mean? And the guy made it on us, and we missed the cut by one at the U.S. Open the same way. It was. I feel your pain there, Turcott. Well, so now let's get to caddying. So now we've got a little time.
Let me jump in on that really quick on that story. How crazy is golf where he's thinking about the 36th hole when they send him out at 7:25 in the morning on the 9th hole and he makes a dub right out of the gate. He doesn't even think about that, where if he makes a bogey, he's in. You know, golf's it's so crazy. Yeah. It's a crazy game.
Golf is funny that way.
It is.
Yes.
But now that we've kind of gotten the full round table on you guys playing, and now I know you both, and you're both 100 on being a caddy and doing your best there. I lost my train of thought there. I guess those beers are starting to kick in. Cheers. Let's have a small beer break.
Well, happy hour.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
all right,
I'm pretty much on ice right now. But
on ice. So anyway, you guys are all in on caddying. We know that
yes.
you're the youngest one of the bunch, Brian. With just a couple of years, but you've had some really high quality.
I think he means caddy wise, Johnny.
Yeah, caddy wise, because you've just started, in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. But I guess your experiences as a pro have put you in the right positions because you've had some really high quality players starting on the LPGA. Did you win with some of those girls?
No, I only had one girl out there. Her name was Bronte Law. Shout out to Bronte, English girl, great player. I got really lucky that Steve Holmes guy again. I got interviewed to go work for a very prestigious LPGA player and didn't get the job. And through my whole life, whether it be, golf or working, or I've never not got a job. Like I go to a golf shop, yeah, you're hired. Want to sell pizzas, yeah, you're hired. And I flew across the country, and I went and hung out with a family for 24 hours or whatever, and I didn't get the job. Called me, 48 hours later, and they're like, "No, I'm sorry, we're going another direction." And I'm like, "Okay." And I was working. It was kind of when I was done. This was 4 years ago or something, and I was teaching at this golf course in Arizona. It was a very old demographic, and it was mind-numbing, because I couldn't make them better. It'd be 60-plus-year-old players, and they're like, "I need to get better." I'm like, "You can't. I'm sorry." I go, "My best thing is, if you're gonna play this guy for money, let me go out and give you an on-course lesson." And I would just do "Bro, you cannot hit your hybrid over this ravine. You have to lay up." And so that was that. And then I'm like, I can't do this. It was brutal. And I called Steve Holmes, his wife's the assistant coach for UCLA, and I'm like, "Listen, I know there's a lot of girls on LPGA. And he's like, oh, let me see what I can do. And this girl called me up. And the funny thing is, and I don't know if Turcott had this problem, but when I was done playing, I would call when I wanted to get into this, because I know you can, if you know how to add or whatever, you can make some good money caddying on the PGA Tour. And I would call my friends, like guys that have been on the tour for a long time. And I'm like, give me a chance. No, Brian, you don't want to caddy, this. And I don't know if half of them were like, he's not serious or whatever, but I had a family at the time, or my kids were young, and they wouldn't give me a chance. And I'm like, I think I got to do this. And she was a good player. Like, I wouldn't have done it if she wasn't a good player, because, I got to support my family, and it's a whole numbers game. And fortunately, she was good, and we had a good run. And then I got hooked up with Sung JM, and that kind of went from there, and that's where I am now.
Yeah.
Well, I work for Siwoo now. I worked for him last year, and that was a whole nother story. But
so basically, last year was your first year as a PGA Tour caddy with Sung JM.
Correct. We were both Rookie of the Year. I mean, he was the Rookie of the Year, and that was my first year out there, and it was crazy. No English. Still doesn't speak very, very good English. He's trying. But I told everyone when I did interviews back then, they're like, how do you guys communicate? I go, he knows how to speak golf, and he knows numbers, and, he knows tree or hit it there or whatever. And
your next and your current player is Siwoo Kim. And
correct.
That started this year. How's that going? How's that been? Does it help having worked for? Is there communication gaps there, or because
no, he can speak just like us. I mean, he is very Americanized. Knows English very well. I mean, not 100%, but I mean, we can sit there, talk sports. He's a big soccer fan, which
really?
I have no idea how that happened, but yeah, he loves sport, and
nice.
yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Cool. And
we need live sports. We need live sports here.
We need live sports.
We really do.
A lot
Can't
of
wait.
We're gonna be the first one, guys. So I mean, get ready. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna look. But.
I heard, isn't the NBA coming? Aren't they it'll start to practice or something?
Yeah, but
like
I can't
1st,
see them.
maybe?
I can't see them coming. I can't see them playing a game before first week in June. I mean, we're going back. First week in second week in June.
I think if the phases work out, golf is definitely coming back soon. So that's good.
Yeah.
But break it down for us, Turcott, on when you decided to, rack them and come caddy and get under the strap, we'll call it, because that's the other Monday podcast Caddies United have. So shameless plug for that. What about when you decided to get under the strap? What got you going? How did that work for you?
It was like almost a crisis, man. It felt like, honestly, it was like, I need to do something, and I'm going to call everyone I can to possibly figure something out, because I have a daughter and my wife, and I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I called Matty Every. And
what a guy.
He's the best, man. Him and Spence, man. And all the guys I've worked for, man, all you guys, thank you for giving me a chance and everything. And, Matty was on a medical because he broke his pinky. So he had 5. We won't say how he broke his pinky. Just kidding, Matty. D-Rock. Just kidding, but I won't say nothing. It was Matty gave me the chance, and, we went out. And it was fun, man. It was fun to see your friends, and it felt like I could see my friends again and be out and do the thing I love. And it was a cool way to try to make a living, and stuck with it. And I've been there since like 2009, 2010. It's close to 10 years right now.
That's amazing that the time is flying. It's flown that fast, because I know. We share a house there in Mississippi, And that's really when I kind of got to know you more, is when we'd stay over at Beef's house in Mississippi, and to hear some of your golf stories with those guys, and Spencer was in that neighborhood we stay in, before you got there. So he
Oh yeah.
that whole crew knows and loves Spencer. And then you've had every over. I know those
Both of those guys, Maddie and Spence, have been over there.
those are
hanging
your
out.
tightest. Yeah. Those are your tightest friends. But it's amazing that the time has gone that fast. And your current player is a young guy, Sepp Straka, correct?
Yeah, I just talked to him today. It was great to talk with old Sepper.
What did he have to say today? How's he hanging in?
He's doing well, man. He's staying busy. He's playing a lot of golf.
They're
down there in
practice.
Birmingham. He's in Birmingham, and they're able. The courses have been open. They have the kind of one person in the cart restriction deal, but they've been able to play. I feel for some of those pros that have had nowhere to play. Like when I mean, what are they doing? Are they going to a state where they can play, or like are you not allowed to go there, or like are you an outsider now because you're from here and now you're here, or what?
Yeah.
I talked to my guy, and he said they've just opened up and he's practicing again for about a week now.
Where's he at?
Sea Island.
Oh, really? They've been closed. They've been closed full on.
A lot of those pros live, so they were all they were all having to do indoor work and stuff like that. But now it looks like they're opening up and they're going to be able to go out on course and stuff, and that gives us a month. And to go back now that we know who you guys are and who you caddy for, and you're all in because you've committed to this. Is there anywhere in your heart that you want to go back and you want to play again, or what? Maybe when you're 50, you think about it, or what's the story there?
Well, I will honestly tell you that I am an amateur golfer now.
Oh,
I
want you on my team. You're on my team in caddy tournaments. I'm telling you that.
I went through the process, and I actually got my amateur status back. When I worked for Sanjay, well, even the past couple of years, like I was playing bad, and once I was done, I was like, I'm over golf. Like I played money games and did that, but I didn't practice that much, and my game really got shoddy. And I would show up on a tee and play. Oh, you're a +7, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna shoot even par or an 80 right now. I go, I'm dead serious. And so I'd have to like map these money games out because I'm like, I'm not gonna give you $500 right now, and whether it be 500 or whatever I'm playing for. And I'm like, I just can't do this. And I'm trying to tell people, and I'm fortunate with my cousin. I play with athletes who are very competitive, and I'm like, listen, guys, I go, this is what's going to happen right now. One way, if you want to take my money or do whatever. So I found a gentleman who works on the USGA, and not going to name names or whatever, but he said, email this gentleman. So I emailed this gentleman, and it's crazy. I didn't even know this existed. I had to fill out like this application. How much money have you made? What have you done? This and that. And they want your whole rigmarole or whatever. And
D'Lo knows what it is.
Yeah. So
he knows more than I know.
I filled this thing out, and I didn't make a check for like 4 years or something like that. And so randomly, this guy who I emailed calls me back, and he's like, okay, we are going through your file, and yes, you have not made a check in 4 years, and we have one more meeting. You should know within the week. And he goes, worst case scenario, it'll be another year. Best case, it'll be like 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay. Guy calls me back in a week. He goes, 6 weeks, you're going to be an amateur again. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And it was funny, like the end of the conversation, I go, is there like a piece of paper or something? He's like, what do you mean? I go, I'm going to need to like show these people that I'm an amateur.
Right.
And he goes, yes, you will get a form. But the other thing is, I still haven't even played enough rounds to get a handicap. And I'm still playing with these guys, and I'm going, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I go, "I made an 8." And they're like, No. The most you can take is a 6. I go, "No. I spoke to this gentleman on the phone. I am a golfer that has never started playing, and I made an 8." And so my handicap's going to be, it's going to be funny because I have like 80, 67, 73, 67, 77. So it's going to be weird. I mean, and
you're going to be
I'm
like
trying,
a +1. You'll be like a +1 or like
I'm trying
a
on every shot,
scratch.
and I'm fine with that. And I just want to, I want to try and do that 2-man thing. That sounds fun. Obviously with our job, I mean, I can't like schedule something and be like, "Hey, I need
Yeah, you will
a
never
week
be
off."
able to schedule something, but
No.
to find the love again for playing the game, I guess that's going to be in there, especially now that we've kind of forced into. I'm calling it a rain delay. I was on a podcast today, and it is definitely Caddy holiday, which we've talked about before on other podcasts. But I can't wait for this Caddy holiday to be over. But it seems like a lot of guys are starting to play golf again. You know, I've been caddying for 20 years, and at the start, I would go play golf after a Tuesday practice round or a Wednesday pro-am. And then, 10, 15 years in, you're like, man, it's just a grind trying to keep your player in order, and you just want to go and chill and decompress. But we're finding that golf is kind of, I think there's going to be a lot of good caddy matches, if not in 2020, in 2021, there's going to be a lot of good caddy matches that, just fun, friendly stuff, and just kind of get back to the roots of how everybody as a circus kind of cruised around, played golf. Golf will, I feel like that's going to happen again, especially with everybody being at home, and the only thing they can do is go play golf. And I know Turcott, you're chomping with good weather, and I spoke to you, Brian, on the phone the other day, and it was like, oh man, I'm all jacked up. You're going to drive 100 miles to play golf. I mean, most of us are talking about,
Right.
5 miles around the corner, And I was
Yeah.
talking with Skillet. He can't wait to go play golf up in Maine. Sag, he's been playing.
They still on lockdown?
They're going to start lifting up that way too.
It's all congested up there in the Northeast. Oh, and also side note, when I got status to play on the Web Nationwide Tour, decided to move to New York City for my wife.
Yeah.
Fifth
How did
floor
that go?
walk up, no elevator, bud.
What?
Yeah. Good luck on the tour. Sorry, sponsors. That was probably not the greatest.
You moved to New York City?
I love my wife.
For love.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that is another thing in golf.
Oh, yes.
And playing, and, I mean, like when I took that job, when I was done, my wife put in work. I mean, she was a teacher to assistant principal to principal, and we were in Arizona my whole career. We just moved back to kind of where I grew up. I have my family here, so it's easier to watch the children. But, I told her, I go, you sacrificed everything for me and let me go do my thing. I go, whatever's going to be easiest for you is what needs to be done. And they're still here with us.
Yeah.
I love her, and Jon, I guarantee feels the same. But yeah, there's things like that you don't understand. Like people watch golf, and why is he playing so bad this year? And I'm not naming names or anything. I'm like, maybe his wife's pregnant. Maybe this is going on. Maybe that. People don't understand. Like on Thursday when you're stepping on the tee, they're like, oh, this guy's gonna be great. Where maybe he didn't get there till Wednesday night because he had a family issue, or not everyone has a G5 that can fly home to do whatever, and it's hard. It is a hard thing. You only see the top 20 golfers, and everyone is out here trying to support their family, whether it be caddying or playing, and we're such a tight group. I mean, that, D. I mean, it's so good how everyone's nice, and everyone's always like, well, how is it out there? And I'm like, even when I played or caddy, I go, I equate it to high school. I go, you have your cliques, you have your California crew, you have your Florida crew, you have your whatever, you have your people that love to go to church.
You got the Dallas crew. You got the Dallas crew.
So now that you guys are caddies, now that you guys are caddies and you see those clicks, do you see that? Are they still kind of grouped the way the pros clicked up? Because I know the pros would click up, according. Whoa, what's going on over there? This is a live feed. Light a match. Light a match.
Got a water hazard over there.
I just had to wash my hands, and
Oh, as long as you're
gotta
following
desanitize.
We didn't hear much of the faucet, but going back to that point, John, I know you're going about, but yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing. Caddies.
It's happy hour, bud.
Caddies are great. I mean, it's great. I've fortunate enough. I stay with Turcott once or twice. Dilo, I stay with you. You're a great cook. Yeah, you find what you can do, whether it be, hey, we got a house, or get a house, and I'd love to stay with you too. But
I'll do it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm newer out here, and it's crazy when even still, I have more friends, honestly, that are players than are caddies. Where, a couple times I get a house and I can jump in there with them. But yeah, so I mean, I stay by myself or jump in here or there. I love the whole house thing. That's always good. Trying to, one guy cooks each night. But I mean, we're out here. We make a lot less than them, and we're trying to make the most money as we can. So whatever way we can do it to price gouge and have a good week is what obviously both of we try and do.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
just enjoy our time. Enjoy our time out there,
Well,
live
then,
every day like it's your last. Maybe not quite that way, but close.
I mean, it's a good way to kind of think about it. But so we'll wind it down. We're coming close to an end. But I know, Turcott, we had talked, and you mentioned the lawnmower story. So let's have the lawn. What's the lawnmower story? Did you have a lawnmower story? What was the story there? Were you trying to fix a lawnmower?
Well, I did get my lawnmower serviced for the first time in 4 years. And when you're coming out of the spring in the north, golf courses aren't open. You see your neighbors picking away at their bushes and picking away at their yards. And you're like, well, I'm in quarantine. What am I going to do? Well, we got to make this lawn as green as possible. And you got to beat your neighbor's lawn, bud. I mean, it's like someone starts mowing and the next person starts mowing. The fertilizer's going, the dethatcher's going. You got everything going, right?
Wow, dethatcher.
And my lawn's looking pretty nice right now.
So you have a competition
I'm not gonna lie to you.
for the best lawn in the neighborhood.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just competitive.
Unofficial.
It could be one. It could. I might be competitive. I don't know. I mean, and going back to the kids. For recess during homeschooling, we go time trials on all these different rides we got, right? Around the block. Time trials. Need to improve.
Yeah.
You're off the pace. You got to get it right? So that's how we keep the competitive nature of the Turcott gene going.
The Turcott gene. So you got.
Oh, it's coming again. We got it. We got another one coming in August too. So
the greenest yard, and who can get around the block the fastest?
I mean, you got to find some competition at some, in some way, shape, or form, right? That's what keeps us all. We all got that competitive.
That's right.
Edge, gene, whatever it is inside of us that burns, that needs to get going.
And then Brian, to finish it off, I know that you had just acquired a BMX bike, and I'm a BMXer, so
I know you are.
I know you are.
Give me the lowdown. What did you get, and what's the MO? How are you riding this thing? What's the story?
Well, it's funny you say that. Yeah, so we have like a beach cruiser. I have 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and they have their bikes. And the beach cruiser is like, I wasn't really happy with it. And years ago, my cousin got like I guess you call it pump bike, big bike, 26-inch wheels or whatever. And I'm like, I got to get one of these because I'm going on bike rides. I'm like, this is terrible. I want to go over jumps and stuff. So I went online and I went to a couple bike shops here. And I'm like, okay, so I'm doing pricing. I'm like, I got to be able to find something cheaper online. So I go on eBay and find this Mongoose bike, and I'm like, thing looks great. And I ordered it. Unfortunately, I didn't look, and it was like delivery time, like May 11th. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm not even going to get this thing. It's not going to be here. But it came to my house like 4 days later. And yeah, I've just been ripping through the neighborhood. I go down, I have like a right down the street, a bank, like a big parking lot where no one's in there anymore. Everything's closed, and we go on there. And I was telling Turcott, I raced BMX bikes, not to the like you did. There was a track, Simi Valley track here when I was a kid. It's 30 years ago. And I was telling Turcott, I go, when you jumped off a curb, your front tire never hit the ground first. You'd be like back tire. I'm like, yeah, go. And I go over this speed bump, and I'm going, and I didn't hit it very good. And I'm like, poof, I hit like front first. I didn't fall off, but I like hurt my wrist. I'm like, oh my God. I go, if I just broke my wrist on the first jump on this bike, I'm not going to be able to tell anyone this. Fortunately, it's good. It's good, but
there you go.
No, it's been fun. We've been going on rides, and I told you earlier, it's like the girls like, let's go home. So I take them home, and then I just keep pumping around the. It's fun. It's good. It's a good workout. Everyone's probably got some quarantine exercise or whatever, and fortunately, mine's a bike, and weather's good here in Cali, so I get to pump around town.
Beautiful.
Have a good time.
Hey, well, listen, I really appreciate both you guys coming on and chatting with me and having a happy hour. And I'm looking forward to when we can do this on the road at a tournament and really kind of just have a beer together and just tell more stories. And, I'm just grateful that you guys are all just kind of living your lives, staying safe, staying healthy. Most importantly, I look forward to seeing you guys in person again, but it's been real therapeutic
Likewise.
to have you on. And, I look forward to when we can do this again.
Live action.
Yes. In person. So in the
Mhm.
meantime, stay safe. We'll catch up, and we'll talk to you again soon.